WDEV at 90 is underwritten by Northfield Savings Bank. They're the bank of you and everything you do at nsbvt.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Celebrating 90 years. WDEV. WDEV also serves the Northeast Kingdom at 101.9 W270BR Island Pond. In decades past, you opened a business, hung out your shingle, and the customers came. Today, hanging out your shingle means creating an engaging website. The modern consumer is using the internet to find businesses like yours. A you position so you'll rise to the top of their search? Let the Radio Vermont Group Digital Services work with you to make sure you're visible online and to target your marketing to location, demographic, and interest. Learn more at rvgdigital.com. The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to wdev@radiovermont.com.
The teams you care about.
Mac Jones is good. That's not the question. The question is he good enough to win repeatedly in this loaded AFC?
The stories that matter to you.
If I'm Xander Bogaerts, I need three things in order to get over that insulting contract offer.
This is your home for New England sports.
Jason Tatum, superstar. Book it.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas Show right here on a Tuesday on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Short show tonight. We go up until 6:10. Then it's Red Sox baseball. Sox taking on the Reds tonight for the first of two games with Cincy. Interleague showdown, one of the worst teams in baseball at Fenway. This should be 2 wins for your Red Sox, but after what just happened against Baltimore and what happened last night, losing 10-0, who even knows anymore? Because last night was just disgusting. I mean, really, in what I called a must-win game, not so much in terms of the standings, but you can't lose 3 of 5 at home to the Orioles. And you did. Like, after what happened last night, this needs to be 2 wins. But nothing is a gimme. Nothing is a guarantee for this team at this point. I hope that the 10-game stretch, right? The 2 wins against Texas, the 2 wins against Houston, and the 4 against Seattle. I had hoped that was the start of the huge turnaround for the Red Sox. And it kind of felt that way. But after what happened this weekend against Baltimore, now you're questioning that. This should be 2 wins. This needs to be 2 wins. I don't know that it will be. We'll give you the lineups for the Red Sox and Reds at about 6:05 here on DEV. And you can get in, as always, on the Napa-Morrisville, Napa-Waterbury text line, 802-585-3026, your locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville. You can also get in on the brand new Facebook live stream, YouTube Live. You can check us out there as well and get your comments in, as always.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
And the opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. I don't have a problem with Jimmy Butler taking that late 3-pointer against the Celtics. Remember the situation, right? Celtics were up 98-96.
Tatum with a big right-hand dribble up to the 3-point line, finds Smart with 5. Smart on the drive, up fakes, puts it off the window, missed it. Butler the rebound with 20 seconds to go. Shot clock is off. He's going for the lead of 3, missed it. Tipped out, Horford's got it. They got a foul with 13 seconds to go.
So 98-96 Celtics. Butler gets the ball, 20 seconds left. He pulls on the pull-up 3. I do not have a problem with Jimmy Butler taking that shot. And still, the conversation today is everybody saying they have a problem with Jimmy Butler taking that shot. We did this a few weeks ago with the Celtics. Remember that series against Milwaukee, and the Celtics dropped that game, and everyone was bagging on Marcus Smart for end-of-game execution. I said this then, and I'm going to say this now. Just because it was the wrong play does not mean that it was a bad play. Now, that may take some time to wrap your head around, but just because a player made the wrong decision, it doesn't necessarily mean it was a bad decision. I believe that on Sunday, by taking that 3, I believe that Jimmy Butler made the wrong decision, but I don't think it was a bad decision. I believe that if Jimmy Butler goes to the hoop, where he's in transition and he has a full head of steam, where the Celtics defense isn't set and where he's got Al Horford as the only man in front of him in backpedaling, I believe that if Jimmy Butler goes to the hoop, something positive happens for him. He either scores, hits the layup, he gets fouled, or he hits the layup and gets fouled and gets a 3-point play that way. I think that would have been the correct decision. But this idea that Jimmy Butler is just getting hammered for taking the 3, I can't do that. I can't go there. I think there was a better move on the board, but I don't hate the move that Jimmy Butler made. I cannot fault a guy who takes a good shot. That 3 that Butler takes, he's open. There's no one around him. He's stepping into it. He's got flow and rhythm. He had already hit a 3 in that game and hit 4 in game 6. So there's a little bit of confidence there in his ability to hit from the outside. I can't fault him for that. Again, I think there was a better move on the board. Going to the hoop, I believe, was a better move. But I don't think the choice that Jimmy Butler made was a bad one. We always say that teams want the ball in their best players' hands at the end of the game. And Jimmy Butler is the Heat's best player. He had the ball. He had an open look at the end of the game. You can't ask for much more than that, can you? You can't. My old coaches used to tell me it's the best shot, not the closest shot. Get the best shot that you can, not necessarily the closest shot. And if Jimmy Butler thinks in that moment that that's the best shot he could get and he was confident in it, I'm not going to slander him for it. Yes, looking at it, watching it in real time, watching the replay 2, 3, 4 times, I believe that if Jimmy Butler goes to the hoop on Al Horford, I believe that's the better play. But the play that Jimmy Butler made, I can't fault him for it. I can't say he made a bad play. It's an open shot that he's confident in. And confidence is so much a part of this stuff. I can't tell you how many times I probably knew a fastball was the right pitch to throw, but the curveball was the pitch that I had conviction in. I can't tell you how many times the curveball was probably the right pitch, but the changeup was the pitch that I had conviction in. If you have conviction with it, I can live with it. I'm not bothered by Jimmy Butler's shot selection. But I hear everyone still today, 2 days later, saying that Jimmy Butler can't take that shot that he took. I heard Myron Metcalf of ESPN say it, and I heard Tim Legler say it also.
As far as that last play, I just think Jimmy Butler's never the type of guy that's going to admit that, yeah, you know what, I'm second-guessing myself. He's just the kind of guy that says, you know what, I was going for the win. That's the shot I wanted, and I'm going to live with it. I didn't make it, and I'll be better next year. It's basically what he said after the game. It's hard for me to imagine, though, that he's not going to be reliving that moment over the course of the summer.
He might relive it because that's just what players do. But I don't think he should look at it and say, I made a bad choice. I wouldn't have done it, but I don't get the slander. He's got a chance to give his team the lead late. His team is severely hobbled. He's got a chance to maybe end the game by making that rather than tying it and sending it to overtime. I think it was a fine shot. Maybe not the best, but definitely not the worst. A clean look at the end of the game with the ball in your best player's hands. I can't get upset at that. And I'm happy he missed it. I'm happy the Celtics won. And if I'm a Celtics fan, that is probably what I would have rather him done, is take the 3. That is the play that I would have wanted him to do. But it doesn't mean it was bad. Just like Marcus Smart, I don't think, made a bad play in that game a handful of weeks ago against Milwaukee, I don't think that Jimmy Butler made a bad play. So everybody who's knocking him and slandering him, I just don't get. Will in East Barry, he's on their side of the Napa-Morrisville, Napa-Waterbury text line saying, Brady, but you use the baseball analogies a lot. It's like a guy who throws 100 getting beat on a changeup. Don't you want to get beat at your best rather than something else? Well, that's a fair point. But again, it's about conviction. A lot of times it's about conviction. If in that moment I think that my changeup is the best thing I've got, then I'm going to feel good about it. If Jimmy Butler, if that is what he felt best about, then I have no problem with it. He knows his body. He knows his knee, how it feels. Maybe he doesn't think he can go to the hoop and take Horford one-on-one at that point. I don't know that, but he knows his body. If that's the shot he thinks that he can get, that's the best shot, I'm not going to knock on that. I've got the benefit of I watched the replay 7 times. And yeah, I could have found a better move on the chessboard. But just because there's a better one doesn't mean that the move that you made is wrong. Couple more texts. Phil in Berlin, I totally agree with you, Brady. Jimmy Butler carried them the entire series. You can't be more wide open. And as hot as he was, he had the confidence in that shot. In that moment, he stuck with his gut. Completely agree. Completely agree. Look, if the shot had been taken by Max Strus or Duncan Robinson or Bam Adebayo, then maybe we'd have a different conversation. But the ball was in your best player's hands. You generally live with the decision of your best players. I didn't hear Eric Spoelstra question the decision. I didn't hear his teammates question the decision. That's a decision that I have to live with. I pay Jimmy Butler $30+ million a year to make quick decisions on the fly and score. And that's what he tried to do. So we could have talked about this yesterday, and I didn't even think it was a big deal. Like yesterday, I didn't even think the shot selection was a big deal. I come in today, and there's audio clip after audio clip, everybody talking about the shot and what a bad shot it was. And I'm like, whoa, I got to defend Jimmy Butler here. If you feel good about it and you are open, then I'm not going to knock you for it. Yeah, going to the hoop could have been a better decision. I think it was, looking at it in hindsight. Doesn't mean the decision he made was wrong. Jack, our old intern. So Jack went from intern Jack to part-time Jack, and now he no longer works for us. So maybe he's just going to be Jack from South Burlington right now. So Jack from South Burlington, formerly intern Jack, formerly part-time Jack, says, Jimmy Butler took a fantastic shot. He had an open look, and if I was a fan of the Heat, I love that he took that shot. If anyone says it was a bad shot, they don't know basketball, and they shouldn't be opening their mouths. He played 47 minutes and 45 seconds of Game 7 before he took it. He wanted to win. It's a great shot. I think Tim Legler knows basketball better than you and me, Jack, but hey, I agree with you. Again, if Jimmy Butler makes it and we go to overtime and Butler's played all 48 minutes, how do we not know that the Heat get run out of the gym in overtime? I don't know that Butler's thinking that in the moment. Maybe he is. Like, hey, I can't let this thing go OT. We got to end it here. I don't know that he's thinking it that quickly, but maybe he was. And it would be perfectly plausible, perfectly reasonable if he didn't think his team could hack it in overtime. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Let's move over to another talking point for today regarding the NBA Finals, right? NBA Finals begin Thursday. We're going to have the coverage for you of Game 1. I don't know how many games we're going to broadcast of the NBA Finals, but we're working on getting more. Red Sox are off Thursday. We're definitely bringing you Game 1. So we will have Game 1 on DEV on Thursday night. Let's understand this. Jason Tatum is the guy with the most to gain from an NBA Finals win. And as far as I'm concerned, it's not even close. I heard Kendrick Perkins today on ESPN say that Steph Curry needed another title and he needed basically a Finals MVP to solidify his legacy. No. I roll my eyes at that. Steph Curry's legacy is already intact. Jason Tatum is the guy who benefits most from winning an NBA title. It's not even close as far as I'm concerned. Listen to this. Jason Tatum just turned 24 years old. He's already been named first team MVP. First team NBA in his career. The list of players who have been first team All-NBA and won a title before the age of 26. Tatum is 24. The guys who have done it before 26. Bill Russell, Kareem, Clyde Frazier, Rick Barry, Dr. J, Bill Walton, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, Kawhi Leonard. Every one of those guys is a Hall of Famer. Kawhi probably will be also. So Jason Tatum, with a win, joins rarefied air. To have been first team All-NBA and win a title under the age of 26, you're joining the Hall of Fame elite right there. Elites of the sport. That's the company that Tatum enters if he wins a title. LeBron didn't do it. MJ didn't do it. Giannis hasn't done it. Luka hasn't done it. Like, this is elite company that Tatum enters if he wins this. He sets himself up for a Hall of Fame path. Now, I've already got Jason Tatum in the superstar category of today's NBA. Based on individual skill set, I think he's already a superstar. I don't think you necessarily have to win a title to be a superstar. Russell Westbrook, I think, has been a superstar. Chris Paul, I think, has been a superstar. Charles Barkley, I think, was a superstar. You don't have to, Patrick Ewing, you don't have to win in order to be a superstar. But if you want to get that national clout and you want to get that national rep, then you've got to win the title. And that's what Tatum stands to gain if he wins it. This idea that Steph needs to win the title to cement his legacy, I just laugh at that. Like, Tatum has beaten Durant, establishes himself as a two-way player in these playoffs, knocks out Giannis, goes for 46 in Game 6 of that series, wins Game 7 on the road against the top seed, and then he could knock out Steph, all doing that well, winning a gold medal for Team USA this year, all before the age of 25. That would be a different conversation nationally around Tatum. He's got a ton to gain for this. Steph Curry has accomplished everything. If the Warriors could get swept, and nothing will change my mind about Steph Curry. Here's what Q Myers, who's an ESPN NBA analyst, had to say about that.
Agreed, 100%. I don't think that there's anything that he has to prove. He's already proven what he needs to do. He's already a guy that goes to the jewelry section of his house and has 3 rings. He's a guy that's helped reinvent the game, change the game to the point where now you see guys at the AAU tournament not trying to dunk and try to have a dunk contest before the game, but seeing how many threes they can hit in a row. Or
yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm just not buying that Steph needs the title more. Steph's got 3 rings. I already think of him as a winner. He's already a great individual player, a 2-time MVP and an 8-time All-Star. So he's got the hardware. He's got the individual street cred. He's already been proven to be a great team guy by allowing Durant to come in and take over. He's already got it. And yeah, Q Myers is right. He's impacted the game. Steph Curry has changed the game. There's not too many players that you can really say have changed the way that basketball is played or have changed people's attitudes on the floor. Allen Iverson, I thought, was an innovator. Allen Iverson brought a different brand of basketball to the NBA. He brought a degree of culture into the NBA. And I don't think Iverson gets the credit that he deserves for what he did for basketball. I think he brought a lot to the game. I think Iverson was a trailblazer. Steph Curry is also a trailblazer. He's given hope to every under-recruited, short, slender kid that they too can be special. Every kid who's ever gone to a lower mid-major, he's given hope to. That legacy is well-defined for me. 3 rings, 4 rings, 5 rings, it's all just gravy. Steph Curry, he is solidified. I'm not buying that. Jack comes back on the text line, says Tatum has a lot to gain from a title, but in terms of putting somebody in the next tier of their career, it would be Al Horford, who would likely get considerably more Hall of Fame consideration with a title. I don't think so. I don't think Al Horford is a Hall of Famer, regardless of what happens in this series. And you don't need titles to be a Hall of Famer. Like, if Al Horford is Al Horford, whether they win this series or not. It's going to come down to numbers. Charles Barkley was a Hall of Famer, and Ewing was a Hall of Famer, and none of these guys won titles. So I don't think Horford's calculus changes. It'll be good for him. He's 35 years old. It's his first trip to the finals. It's all great. But Tatum is the guy with the most to gain. It's the Brady Farkas Show here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Okay, when we come back, it's time to stop looking at something as a fan and just look at this situation as a human being. I'll tell you what that is. That's next on DEV.
QC Kinetics patient Robert Patterson, a veteran and business owner, struggled at work and in the gym with chronic agonizing shoulder pain.
Those injuries just continue to nag, and if you don't treat them, they just get worse. And I just kind of abused my body for a long time, and it finally had said enough is enough.
That's okay, because QC Kinetics tells your pain, hey, enough is enough. Their regenerative treatments bring you relief by helping restore and repair damaged tissue with no drugs, no downtime, and best of all, no surgery.
I was able to exceed the goals that I had previously attained in the gym. It was absolutely worth its weight in gold, so I could continue to live life without limitation.
Ready to get lasting relief from your joint pain? Call QC Kinetics to learn more about how natural biologic treatments can get you lasting results. Call now. It's a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 802-PAINLESS. That's 802-PAINLESS. QC Kinetics, 802-PAINLESS. Treatments are not yet FDA approved.
This is Terry Crews, and that is the sweet, sweet sound of a live audience. That's right. AGT is back with the electricity of a big crowd, with the most incredible acts yet. Plus, your favorite judges, Simon, Howie, Heidi, and Sophia. And $1 million up for grabs with a live audience.
AGT is back, followed by the premiere of Dancing with Myself, tonight on NBC.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s, like go back to college, learn to skateboard. Whoa. Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. At aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a free 3-minute chat with a friendly digital retirement coach, Avo, and receive personalized tips to help boost your savings. Start chatting with Avo today at aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
How well does your garden grow? Tune in Saturdays at 12:30 for In the Garden with Peter Burke. Peter and co-host Joel Nashman give you one full hour of the latest news, helpful tips, and your calls to talk about what's happening in your garden. It's brought to you in part by Montpelier Agway, your locally owned Montpelier Agway, East Montpelier Road. In the Garden with Peter Burke. Live Saturdays at 12:30. Hear the podcast anytime at WDEVradio.com. The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
This is Freddie Coleman of ESPN, and you're listening to Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in. Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Red Sox baseball comes up at 6:10, and Sox taking on the Reds. Luis Castillo against Michael Wacha. We'll have the lineups for you at about 6:05. And, you know, there comes a point as a fan, there comes a point as a media member where you have to stop looking at the game critically, and you just have to look at the game as a human being. And I am at that point. Being a human being involves having empathy. And I have empathy right now for Matt Barnes. I feel genuinely bad for Matt Barnes and the Red Sox. It is painful to watch him right now. And as a guy who felt the weight of the world on my shoulders pitching in 16-year-old summer baseball, I get what it's like to struggle and kind of be eaten up by your own emotions, your own failures, and your own baseball demons. Like, I get that, but I can't imagine going through that almost nightly on a major league mound. This is gutting to watch. We are, in my opinion, beyond the point of piling on. We are beyond the point of mocking. We are beyond the point of screaming and yelling for his release or to be traded or demoted or sent down or whatever. We are at the point now where we need to feel empathy. I do. Barnes can't even pitch in mop-up duty against the lowly Orioles without struggling. He gave up 3 runs yesterday. It was 7-0 when the Red Sox brought him in. Hard hit single, 3-run homer, and two of the 3 outs he got were incredibly loud contact as well. He can't even pitch in mop-up duty on a getaway day without getting hit around. He's pitched 17 innings this year. He's allowed 15 earned runs. He's got 12 walks. He's got an ERA of 7.94. Matt Barnes barely throws his fastball. When he does, it's not at the velocity we remember. His curveball is now used far too often, and it's far too predictable. Matt Barnes is a guy who is out there searching, and a major league mound is a lonely spot to be searching. Think about it like I've done this a million times, and I'm sure you have out there too. If you're playing golf, right, you're playing golf with your friends, golf with your buddies, and you're at the point where you just can't hit the ball, right? You kind of got the yips. You're hitting the ball way left, way right. You're losing the ball. Your irons, you're literally hitting parallel to you. You're swinging and missing ground balls. You're doing everything wrong on the golf course. That alone is frustrating to you when you're playing with one person. Imagine being out there nightly in front of 40,000 people and having the equivalent happen to you every single time. Matt Barnes is out there searching for answers. And it's a lonely place to search for answers when you feel like you've let your team down, when you are embarrassing yourself, and your team is essentially hiding you. The Red Sox are hiding Matt Barnes at a time when their bullpen needs answers and needs to be solidified. Barnes is basically completely unpitchable. Robles is on the injured list. Strom was on the COVID list until today. Like, this team is short on bodies, and they're basically short on one more because they can't put Barnes in the game. I feel bad for him. This is no longer funny. This is no longer my job as a media member to be critical. I don't want to talk about Matt Barnes anymore. Watching last night, I now just feel bad for him. I now hope that he turns this around. He will now become the guy that I root for to make a big play, to make a big pitch. Like when he got that save against Seattle a couple of weeks ago, I told you I didn't think that was going to be a turning point for him. I just thought Seattle was that bad at that moment, and I was right. But I hope that genuinely he comes into a game and does something great and turns it around, because this is hard to watch. Last night, the Red Sox were down 7-0. Well, I guess the Red Sox were down, they were down by a bunch of different scores, but they went to Ryan Brazier before Matt Barnes. They went to Hirokazu Sawamura before Matt Barnes. Brazier and Sawamura were pitching in AAA like 3 days ago, and those guys got the call in a closer game than Matt Barnes did. They wanted Brazier and Sawamura before Barnes. It's tough to watch, and I feel for him. And I hope that you do as well. Yeah, we all want the Red Sox to win, and yeah, it's frustrating when they don't. Barnes isn't a part of that right now. He's only pitching when they're up huge or down huge. So he's not affecting anything with wins and losses other than the fact that he's just taking up a roster spot, essentially. I feel bad for him, and I hope he turns it around. This game will chew you up. It chewed me up and spit me out, and I was 16, and I was 18, and I was 22. I can only imagine pitching in Division III. I can only imagine what Matt Barnes is going through. And yes, he's got a ring, and yes, he's got money, and yes, he's got some comforts there that have been afforded to him. But I don't think that a ring and money can help you overcome the feelings of inadequacy or of failure that he must have right now. It just doesn't. No, I don't think that money or the ring can help Matt Barnes feel better than he does in these moments where he's failing, and he's failing constantly. I feel bad for him. It's the Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. We're going to give you the Red Sox lineups, the other side of the CBS News update, but the Vermont Lake Monsters are feeling a little used car salesman-ish to me, and I'm not a huge fan of it. I'll tell you why. That's next on DEV.
This is WDEV, Vermont's news station, owned and operated by the Radio Vermont Group. From the top of Sugarbush, 96.1 FM, WDEV Warren and Waitsfield, 96.5 W243 Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, along with our founding station, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury Montpelier, streaming at WDEVradio.com. 90 years of serving Vermont, the friendly pioneer, WDEV.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York. Congress is tackling gun control in the aftermath of the school shooting massacre in Texas. CBS's Scott McFarland has the latest now from Capitol Hill.
The U.S. House Judiciary Committee plans a Thursday morning hearing here in Washington on a package of gun control bills, including one that would raise the minimum age for purchasing semi-automatic rifles. But those bills appear to have no future in the U.S. Senate, where 60 votes are needed. Meantime, a bipartisan group of senators talking about gun legislation plans a series of more meetings behind the scenes later this week.
President Biden weighed in on gun reform today. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre.
He supports a ban on sale of assault weapons and high-capacity magazines and expanded background checks to keep guns out of the dangerous hands. He does not support a ban on the sale of all handguns.
The president plans to meet with Congress this week. In Texas, Governor Greg Abbott has issued a disaster declaration for the city of Uvalde as funerals begin for the shooting victims. CBS's Lilia Luciano says the community is having a tough time coping with last week's massacre.
There's grief, but there's also anger. There's a demand for accountability. We've learned that 911 operators, dispatchers have been brought in from outside of the town to start responding and answering to 911 calls because the ones who responded, of course, are undergoing trauma.
A lawyer for Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign has been acquitted of lying to the FBI. Michael Sussman was accused of hiding his link to a tech executive and Clinton's campaign when he pushed information to the feds about Donald Trump and Russia ahead of that year's election. People are in cleanup mode now in Minnesota after a suspected tornado hit last night. WCCO TV reporter Pauline Lee is in Ferreta.
The fire chief says upwards of 100 buildings or structures have been destroyed or severely damaged, but thankfully no one was severely hurt or no one died. But today is going to be a big day for cleanup.
About 27,000 people still don't have power. A new survey from AAA says many Floridians wouldn't evacuate in the event of a hurricane. Spokesman Mark Jenkins.
Develop your plan and to take this seriously because, a major storm like this could pop up and impact your life within a few days to a week. And if you're not prepared for it, then you're not going to know what to do.
Agatha made history as the strongest hurricane to ever come ashore in May. It hit Mexico yesterday as a strong Category 2 hurricane, but it's since been downgraded to a tropical storm. This is CBS News.
There's always something new under the sun. CBS Mornings, weekdays on CBS.
The Country Club of Barrie, a Vermont treasure, invites you out for a round of golf, great meal, and good times. Come join the fun this spring.
You'll find a fully stocked pro shop at the Country Club of Barrie. All the major brands like TaylorMade, Stealth, Ping, Cobra, Titleist, FootJoy, and more. You'll also find 2 certified club fitters to take your game to the next level.
Info and tee times online at ccofbarrie.com. Good times, good friends, and great golf. Always open to the public. The Country Club of Barrie.
You're the one who protects the flock, and that requires an eye for detail. Because when safety and well-being are on the line, it's the details that can save lives. Even when no one else is watching, you see everything. Grainger gets you, and we're here for you, and all the ones who get it done with a wide range of safety products and solutions, plus board-certified safety consultants here to answer your questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tracy, line 1 is looking for a quote on a mini split.
Crazy spring temperatures are heating up the Wyatt HVAC phone lines.
Next week, we're booked solid.
If they don't find more technicians, they'll be in hot water.
How are we down 3 technicians in the past 3 weeks?
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by interviewing on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
How well does your garden grow? Tune in Saturdays at 12:30 for In the Garden with Peter Burke. Peter and co-host Joel Nashman give you 1 full hour of the latest news, helpful tips, and your calls to talk about what's happening in your garden. It's brought to you in part by the Willie's Store, family-owned since 1900 in Greensboro. In the Garden with Peter Burke, live Saturdays at 12:30. Hear the podcast anytime at WDEVradio.com. Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
This is Field Yates of ESPN, and you're listening to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV Radio and the WDEV app.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV. Red Sox lineups coming up in about 3 minutes. Real quick, I don't love that the Vermont Lake Monsters are feeling a little used car salesman-ish to me. Look, I hammered the Lake Monsters a few weeks ago for these $1,500 box seats, so that's why I'm only doing this for like 3 minutes. But Lake Monsters general manager CJ Knudsen was on Vermont Viewpoint this morning with Rick Singari, and I just got weird used car salesman vibes from the whole operation. It's not really CJ Knudsen himself. I want to make sure that's clear. He's just kind of dishing out the company meal here. The whole organization feels like this to me. Let me put the disclaimer, okay? I love that there's baseball in Burlington. I think the Futures League is a good fit in Burlington, and I think it's a good quality of baseball for this market. That's true. I've always said that. That hasn't changed. But the messaging from the organization is conflicting to me, and that's what I don't appreciate. On one hand, the Lake Monsters are billed as this kid-friendly, family-friendly experience that's affordable. And on the other hand, the Lake Monsters are selling those $1,500 a night box seats, 15 seats at $100 a pop. Are you about the family-friendly, affordable experience and growing the game, or are you about the money? Because you're sending me 2 messages here. And I get it. You can have both experiences sometime, right? Like you can go to a party and you can have the high-end stuff or you can have the low-end stuff. You can get both experience in the same place, but my goodness, the $1,500 box seat experience comes at the expense of the kids you're trying to get into the game. These box seats that have been put in, they take up the entire right field line, the area where kids used to play catch, where kids could hang on the railing and watch the sport, where kids could meet players, where kids could hang with Champ, where kids could get autographs. It's just total mixed messaging to me. The Lake Monsters build themselves as this great community bastion that helps the community and rallies the community and is here for the community and wants to grow the game in the community. And they, and then you put these box seats directly in kids' way and you inhibit their ability to take in the game and you negatively impact their experience. That bothers me. I know the team needs to make money. I want the team to exist, so they have to make money to do that. But don't tell me one thing and then show me another. That feels used car salesman-ish to me. It's bothered me for the last few weeks. The Lake Monsters season has started. They're home tonight. I will go to a game this summer and experience it all for myself. But it feels like the organization is talking out both sides of its mouth. Are you here for the kids? Are you here for the community? Are you here for the good of the sport? Or are you here to make the money? And I get that there's got to be both. But right now it feels like you're telling me one thing and showing me another. The Reds are 16-31. That's a better cry. Remember that they were like 3-20, so they're on a bit of a roll here over the month of May. The Red Sox are 23-26. Luis Castillo pitches for Cincy 1-2 with a 4.35. Michael Wacha 3-0 with a 2.83 for the Sox. Tyler Naquin's in right for Cincy. Brandon Drury's at third. He's got 8 home runs. Nick Senzel, the former top prospects in center. Joey Votto, awful year, but back from the injured list, hitting 165 is at first. Tyler Stevenson is the catcher. Kyle Farmer's at short. Mike Moustakas is the DH. Albert Almora Jr. is in left, and Matt Reynolds is at second. For your Red Sox, Kike in center, Devers at third, J.D. Martinez the DH. Bogarts at short, Verdugo in left, Trevor Story at second, Franchi Cordero at first. Kevin Plawecki does the catching tonight, and Jackie Bradley Jr. is in right. On the French Open front, Rafael Nadal takes set 3. He's got a 2-1 lead on Novak Djokovic. We're past midnight in Paris, people, on the match. Who knows how late that one will go. That's it for me. Go find the show on the podcast channel. Full show available to you, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and WDEVradio.com. We're back at it tomorrow. Tom Karen, Freddie Coleman, more NBA Finals talk. Go Sox.